So, Game Lounge comes in and says, "What's going to happen to Sean if the Bills don't make it this year?" I really think it's going to depend where he loses.
Oh man.
If the Bills don't win it this year, I think it depends. If we don't go past the divisional round this year, I think there's going to be real questions about his future here. He may get canned. And it really depends on how it goes down. Do we have all of our players, and did we just get outcoached? How did we lose? If he makes it to the conference championship game or the Super Bowl, then I think he stays.
I can kind of go on board with that. So here's how I think. You're in year 7 now. Guys, year 7. Like it time's flown by. I was Mikey. I swear to God, I was thinking the other day. I'm like, damn, how long has he been here? Because I kind of felt like it was 3, 4, 5, but I'm like, no, we won 3 in a row, and then I'm like, holy shit, he's been here a long time. Like he's been here a minute, and the best we got. Yeah, the best we got was the championship, which was cool, AFC, but we got smoked, and then we
weren't prepared for it.
No, exactly. We got smoked, and then we haven't been back since. And he's a good regular season coach, but something happens when he gets to the playoffs against better coaching oppositions where he kind of just crumbles, or he folds, or he just gets this like he gets kind of out coached, and he also gets like scared coaching and. Right? Like so here's how I see it. Even if he gets to the AFC East Championship and he loses, I think honestly, Mikey, it all depends who is out there for head coaching spot. Let's say there's a guy out there. I'm just saying, let's say like a Sean Payton. Sean Payton went to the Denver, right?
I cannot believe we let him.
Exactly. But let's just say hypothetically Sean Payton didn't get hired, he was hired. Let's say he's available next season. Then
or Sean McVay.
Or McVay. Then there's a really good. Then I would say 100% you need to do it. But I would almost still be on board, honestly, at this point. You can't keep doing this game where you're like, well, let's just give him one more year. And then you're eventually going, well, damn, we're 9 seasons in. Like time flew by.
Yeah, Josh's prime is coming towards the end of it.
Even Diggs' prime eventually, right? Like Von Miller's going to be gone by, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's guys that are
Hyde and Poyer's primes are over.
Right. So it's like, do you want to go to this, you need to start thinking about that. And I think Bean, listen, I get it. McDermott brung in Bean. Like, I get it. That's your boy. But there comes a time, Mikey, where Bean's going to have to just go with the ownership and talk to them and say, I love the dude, but we have to change direction now. Like, he can't get us there. And it happens. That happens.
I don't know if people do that. So I want to hit on Y-Town's question. He says, the best we got was AFC Championship game. How soon we forgot the 17-year playoff drought. And listen,
I am with you.
I love what McDermott has done to this point.
Right.
And I pray to God that he gets over the hump this year, and then he stays with us for another 20 years. And he's our Bill Belichick, long-term head coach that brought us back Super Bowls. I really hope that's the case.
Yep.
But at what point do we say, okay, we're just happy with making the playoffs every year?
Right. See, Y-Town, like, that's the thing. Like, me and Mikey aren't sitting here dogging what Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane has done. Matter of fact, I know me personally, I've talked how unbelievable, like, they have been to the city of Buffalo, what they've done to this team. Listen, I've been a fan since '89. I've lived it. It's not like I'm a newbie here, and I only been around since the good. Like, I understand the 17-year drought. I get it. It was terrible. It was miserable going through GMs, going through head coaches, the same bull crap every other 2-3 years with a new coach. I respect the hell out of what they've done so far, but what we're saying is, when is the time where you say it's just not going to happen? We have to move forward. You cannot
At what point
keep
do you
playing.
Cut the Marvin Lewis.
Right. You can't, like, that's where we're going with this. Not that, Sean McDermott, terrible. It's all he's done.
He's not terrible. He's a really good head coach.
Right.
And he'll probably get hired the second we let him go. But at some point, that voice gets stale.
Exactly. And listen, and I'll take it back to every sport, Mikey.
Andy
and I said
Reid,
this before.
Before you go to that point, Andy Reid had to leave the Eagles
Philly,
before he was able to get over
find his way in Kansas City. Yeah, and then found his quarterback. Everything kind of started connecting for him. I agree with that too. But then there's
Scott.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
That's like you're a newbie, Tommy. I've been watching since the early 70s.
Hey, you're right. I'm in 89. Whatever. You got me there. But hey, I still went through heartache, buddy. But no, my point is, Mikey, there's been like that in every sport. Look at NBA, right? I said it before. There's been coaches that can get you. Look at the coach of the year for Toronto. They fired him, Dwayne Casey. They wind up getting a new coach and won the NBA championship that following year. And everyone's like, oh my God, how do you fire the coach of the year, right? How do you let that guy go? Well, because he says he can't. I don't think they can get it done. It's been like that. The Pistons did the same thing. They hire Larry Brown. Larry Brown got the job done. It works that way. Flip Saunders, great coach. Rest in peace. He could never get Minnesota to that point. Great regular season coach, get you to the playoffs, but for some reason it stopped there. I don't know what it is. Yes, exactly.
You go back and look at Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson was the Golden State Warriors. They brought Steve Kerr and they took him over the top. Yeah, totally. It's one of those things. Like, listen, I love and appreciate what Sean McDermott has brought to the Bills. He's brought stability to an organization that didn't have it
100%.
For really most of the mid of my life.
Yeah, I agree. He actually, and it was the first time, Mikey, and you can agree with this too, that a coach, because they all say the greatest things when they get hired. They go on the podium. They tell you what they're going to do. They're going to bring, playoff football back or whatever. They're going to get the right guys, and it's usually lies, right? And they never, right? It never happens, right? And we're like, oh yeah, we heard his song and dance before. I'll give Sean McDermott all the credit in the world. He said what he's going to do, and he's done it. Like he got us back on the top.
Outside of saying he's going to build through the draft.
I agree with that too. Yeah.
I mean, because we do have some foundational pieces through the draft, but we've missed a lot on draft picks, and we've had to bring in some high priced veterans to try to push those over the top. That's the only piece. But everything else, he said he was going to bring in accountability. He said he was going to bring in, toughness,
leadership,
and sustainability, and all that, and he has. And I will appreciate everything that Sean McDermott's done for us, but at some point, do you just keep replaying the record over and over and being okay with, not winning it? The ultimate goal is Super Bowl.
Exactly.
31 teams a year is disappointed.
Right. Exactly. It's not to be AFC East champions. Like, listen, it was so exciting when we won the AFC East. I remember that. We finally dethroned the Patriots, right? Remember? Finally did it. But now we're like, we know we can do it. Right? We're going into our fourth time in a row winning the AFC East championship. Like, we have to get over it. Now we need to win the AFC championship. Like, we need to be we can't. We're just stuck. I feel like we're stuck in the mud.
Yep.
And I still think McDermott. Here's my problem with McDermott too, Mikey. When playoffs come, or even regular season games, when things get tight, when things aren't going right, or where they're really, he really starts to tense up. I feel like you see it, like things change. Like he calls stupid timeouts, or he just it's almost like he folds under pressure. And I really hope that he finds his way with that, because that is a coaching thing. And he was a new head coach, but now he's not new anymore. 7 seasons. Like, you got to correct your ways. I hate that whole thing where it's like every press conference when we lose a game, Mikey, it's we left plays on the field. I hate that, dude. Right. It's like, really? Yeah, dude. We all saw it.
I'll have to go back and watch the tape.
You're right. We have to go back and watch the tape. Right. I don't. I know exactly what happened. Right?
Now here's let me end on a positive. Sean McDermott is a very good head football coach. He has some flaws, and he's all about getting better. I need to see him make those corrections this year to bring us to where we want to go. I pray, Youngtown, seriously, I hope that Sean McDermott's his guy. I've been on him since day one. I liked him when he was the defensive coordinator at Philly, when he learned under the late great Jim Johnson, and then I liked him when he was the defensive coordinator at Carolina. When we hired him, I was stoked. Tommy didn't know much about him.
I didn't know much about him.
I did, though. And when me and Tommy hooked up, I explained to him, I've been following this guy because they took him from defensive coordinator and made him an offensive line coach, and then they fired him.
Yeah, I didn't know. Is it most of the guys? You know why too? Well, Mike, you got to remember most of the guys we hired in Buffalo, and it's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. Let's be honest here. A lot of these guys weren't. They didn't even have the best like background. Like they didn't like they weren't even the best their coordinator position, right? Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying, like look at all of them, right? I'm just saying, dating back before McDermott, it's always these guys that were like, except for Rex Ryan, right? Rex Ryan was the only guy that was like, oh, previous head coach got the, he got into the playoffs. Like there was a little hype there behind it, but risky hype, right? With Rex
Mm-hmm.
Ryan. But he was the first real name, I would say,
Yeah.
that the
Before
Bills
that, we were getting
hired.
the Dick Gerons and the
Right,
Chan Galeys
right,
and the Mike Malarkeys and
right.
you
Just
know,
guys,
but
guys that just weren't going to
we
do it.
didn't have a fortified front office like we do now.
No,
We
we
have
didn't. We had
fantastic
bad GMs
ownership.
too. Yeah.
We have great owners who sign the checks and stay out of the way for the most part, and
Right.
and allowed our front office to go out and hire. Brandon Beane is a fantastic GM, has a great front office put
Yeah.
together. It's
Yep.
one of those things. Like, look, you watched two of our guys walk out, go to the New York Giants, and turn them into playoff contenders right off the
Just
year
like
one.
that. Right.
Year one. Now,
I
do
didn't
I
think
think
it
they're
was
going
going
to
to
be
happen
playoff
either.
contenders year two? Probably not. They're still in the rebuild. But like Joe Shane and Brian Dayball did fantastic work.
No, you got to give them credit.
It's one of those things of at what point do you say, okay, it's not working? I don't want Josh Allen to be 33 and then they decide, okay, we're going to bring in a new head coach.
Right. Right. And by then you have lost. Trust me, you have already lost some players.
We've
Like
lost. Josh should be on
right.
33. That's another 6 years.
Right.
He's
Right.
27 now. So
exactly.
Diggs will be gone, and all those guys will be gone. But I don't want to wait another 3-4 years and have all these guys turned over before we say, okay, it didn't work. Oops.
Right.
We
exactly.
wasted,
we waited too long to make it make the change. You know what I mean? Because I don't even think it's an oops. Because even if they listen, guys, even if they got rid of McDermott, let's say hypothetically he doesn't do it this year and they do let him go. Let's just say, I as a Bills fan will say nothing but praise for what Sean McDermott did while he was here, and I think he could walk out with his head up high. You know what I mean? And I think they would give him honestly, claps out the door because that dude did bring Buffalo Bills football back.
He did.
He was part of it. So I don't think there's no shame, and it is what it is, right? You just for some reason it just wasn't going to happen with you, but you did really good while you're here. It's just time for a change. There's nothing wrong with that, and I'll be on board. And listen, I'll never go back and say Mikey, oh man, Sean McDermott, like I'll say, dude was a good coach. He tried his best. He got us AFC championships, but we needed a change, and I understood why. That's where I would be at it. No problem. I want to dog the guy. I want to say, oh, what a terror. But if you wait too long, I might go, oh, because remember what happened with Marvin Lewis? As they went on, like Bengals fans loved him for a long time, but eventually they started turning bad. And then it was just like, fire him, right?
Let's look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid got canned after a divisional loss. John Fox in Denver got canned after a divisional loss. Steve Mariucci after a divisional round playoff got canned after a loss. So you see, these guys who have Super Bowl rings, Super Bowl winning head coaches get canned after that because they're like, okay, they're just not taking them any farther. And at some point you have to be able to cut bait. Now, I hope that's not the case. I hope he gets us over and we win the Super Bowl. And he's riding down the parade because he's laid the foundation here. I hope he gets the payoff.
Dude, I was telling Mikey before we started, guys, I'm like, it would be great if all this crap that happened in the offseason with the Diggs and, McDermott and all this crap going on, and we wind up winning the Super Bowl.
That'd be awesome.
I hope
it happens.
Right. I'd be like, yo, do it again.
Yep. Have Diggs yell at all the coaches. Right. Fire them up.
Right. Let's do it all over again, man. I have no problem.
Yep. So, all right, Tommy, you got anything